How's everyone doing tonight? I tell you, I'm excited about tonight. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're coming in. Whenever you get here, you get here. Listen, it's going to be a great conversation. I'm here because something is on my heart that I want to chat about it. I want to chat about it. So can come on in the room now? I want you to bloom. I want you to bloom where you're planted. I'm excited about having this conversation with you tonight. Yeah, life can do us in, but guess what? We have the option to get up and move, to get up and move. Yeah. So let's have this conversation. I'm so excited about tonight. Hello, 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 hello to all of you out there. Listen, it's a great day here at Bravo with Sheila. I hope that you can hear me. I did not get a real sound check, so I'm hoping that you guys can hear me out there wherever you are. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, please let me know if you can hear me. I'm excited about tonight to talk to you. It's been a minute. I've been off for a couple of weeks, I guess. Well, not really a couple of weeks. I want to say a week. I've been off for a week. And it's just been a lot going on. But guess what? I have to bloom wherever I'm planted. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Bloom where you're planted. Good evening, Princessa. If you can hear me, can you please put a 1 in the chat so that I'll know that you can hear me? Oh my goodness, I didn't do a sound check. So I just want to make sure that my levels are right and that you can hear me. So if you can hear me, Princess, put a 1 in the chat for me. Yeah, it's a great night here at Bravo with Sheila. It's been, I think, over a week that I have not been here. I'm hoping that you guys can hear me out there. Princessa, if you can hear me, put a 1 in the chat for me. All right. All right. Can you guys hear me? Loretta, can you hear me? If you can hear me, put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. I didn't get a sound check tonight, but I'm hoping that you can hear me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. We got some bravettes in the house tonight. God bless you, all of you. Listen, Princessa, it was something this morning, wasn't it? We were up early this morning on another channel having a great time. Thank you, Loretta, and thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I had this topic on my heart for quite a long time. And life kept happening. Life just kept interrupting the flow. Things just kept happening. And so it's amazing because when you say you're on a delay, okay, I got you, Princessa. Thank you. Thank you. Long as you can hear me, I'm good. I didn't get a sound check with anyone. Usually I have guests that I can play off of, but the guests aren't here tonight. But I really wanted to talk to you tonight. I wanted to share some things that have been on my heart, some things that I know that might encourage you. You know, we all press through so many things in our lives. So many things are going on, and more so now than ever. And so, hi, Big Bad Bull. We got a brave brother in the chat tonight. Thank you for being here, hanging out with the Bravettes and me. It's a great day here at Bravo with Sheila, and it's a wonderful time to talk about bloom where you're planted. This is not just for women. We all have to learn how to bloom. We learn how to spring back up when life happens, and life happens every single day. Every single day. So before we get into it, let's just do this intro real quick. Once again, welcome. All of you, welcome to Bravo with Sheila. I'm so glad that you stopped by. Tonight is Friday night. It's really an off night for me. I'm usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But listen, when life happens and you got to step back, you just step back, regroup, and then go forward. And I said, well, no matter what, the week has kind of got away from me, but it is still Friday. And I said, let me just pop on tonight and chat a little bit, chat about something that's very important to all of us. Usually I have guests here. They might come, they might pop up. I can drop the link if someone wants to come up and participate in the conversation. But I want to talk tonight about surviving in the storm, just blooming where we're planted. And listen, we have to bloom where our feet hit. Wherever your feet hit, that's where you have to bloom. Some years ago, I had a ministry. I still have my women's ministry, and it's called Women in Pursuit of Purpose. And for short, it's called WINPOP. WINPOP, Women in Pursuit of Purpose. And I would always open up saying, wear my high heel, sling back, boot wearing, sneaker wearing, flip flop, whatever you wear on your feet, woman, where are you? Right? Because we are all in pursuit of purpose, and we all have a purpose, and we have to some kind of way segue our way back and forth in a zigzag situation when life happens. But nevertheless, we get back on our feet and we bloom where we're planted. And I always think about all the things I did some years ago, the workshops, the tea. I had tea parties for mothers and daughters, just doing different things to build women up, so that they could have a life that they're pursuing, whether it's for you to be married and a life to, we talk a lot about being the wife and being to understand our part and our role in a family. But there are so many women that are single in every age bracket, from bloomers to millennials. And we got the Gen Zs coming up, and so it's just so much information to give out. What I have and what I've learned in my life, the wisdom that I have, it does not belong to me, right? Such as I have, I give, right? And it doesn't belong to me. So I have to give it out. I have to push it out, right? Because my life has been a complex life. If I would share with you, maybe one day I'll just sit and talk about me. But, I just finished a month ago writing my script to my movie. I had written my book, Chapters of My Life, some a few years ago. And my desire is to get it on film. And I tried to get this script. I tried to get so many people to help me write this script. I tried, and the Lord would block it. And everyone kept saying to me, you're going to have to write it. And I'm like, I'm not a script writer. I'm a singer. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm an encourager. I'm a counselor. I just name all those things, but I'm not a script writer. And it got to the point where every time I turned, God was blocking. So what did I have to do? I had to bloom right there where I was planted. I didn't know how to do it. And I decided to go to script writing school. I graduated around 5 months ago. And guess what I did? I completed writing the script of my own life story. So listen, you have to bloom where you're planted, even if you're uncomfortable. Right? It's so much inside of us, whether you're a male or a female. There's so many jewels within us. There's so many untouched areas within us that lays dormant because life happens, and it happens over and over and over. And a lot of us, many of us are wired so differently. Some people are introverts, some people are extroverts. No matter what, we have to allow our weaknesses to become strengths. I always tell people to live out of your strengths, but don't ignore your weakness. When you ignore your weakness, what happens? It can choke the life out of you, right? Denial can choke the life out. So we have to face ourselves. We have to figure out, what is it that we need? What is it that's lacking? What is it that someone took from me? What is it that I allowed someone to take from me? Hey, Mary Finney, I'm so glad you're here. Facebook, God bless you. Thank you for being here. What is it that I'm lacking? What have I been negligent in my own self? Sometimes I have to apologize to myself, not somebody else apologize to me. Sometimes I have to say, Sheila, whew, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry how I've handled you at times in your life. And so when you live the life that I've lived, when you've come through so many storms, so many turmoils, so much trauma, right? And you land in certain places. My feet has landed in so much kind of dirt. Some soil was moist, some soil was so messed up I couldn't move. But nevertheless, I had to learn how to bloom where I was planted. Is it easy? No, not easy. But there's a choice. Are you going to sink or are you going to swim? We got a choice. There's no in between with that. Are you going to sink or swim? It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. It doesn't matter who took something from you. Don't be a finger pointer. Turn the finger on you. When I started turning my finger on me, boom, I said, nope, let me turn it on Sheila. When I changed, everything around me changed. Everything around me changed for the good. And sometimes people looked at it for the bad, because when you change, people lose a grip on you. You become stronger. You become different. You begin to explore who you really are. And a lot of times as women, we think we know who we are. We can never stop exploring because there's so much to uncover. And we all had so many different experiences. So blooming where we're planted is so deep. Mary says she's going to swim, and we must jump in, even in that deep water. Listen, just put your foot in 3 feet. Put your foot, just go to the beach and stick it in right there at the ankle length. That's a move. Long as you make a move. Right back in the day, we say bust a move. Just make a move. If you got to crawl, make a move, because that one move can shift and it can pivot your whole life. But the enemy comes to block, stop, steal, and destroy, and it wants to keep us bound to our own self. And a lot of times we keep ourselves trapped because so much happens over and over. And some of you know my story. Some of you know that when I was 17 years old, I was married. You know, my husband was awesome. He was wonderful. I was young, but he took care of me. He was an incredible guy. I mean, incredible. And I got married. Some of you heard me say this before. And the day that I had my second daughter, right, because I was a teenage mom at 15, thank God for the mom I had. My dad was around, but not really around. But thank God for the mom I had that didn't turn her back on me, that walked me through the street with her head up high, right? I can imagine the embarrassment that she felt, but she never let me see that. And she walked me through that thing. And as I became, you know, when I graduated, she said, just want you to finish school. I had to bloom where I was planted. I want you to finish school, Sheila. Please just finish school. And I went to school as a young girl, pregnant, held my head up and just kept it moving, kept it moving. And then I got married at the age of 17 because I got pregnant again. So my mom says, well, you got to make her an honest woman. But he loved me. He loved the fact that she extended that to him. I got married the very same day that my second daughter was born. The same day my husband was murdered. Gone. I was a widow at 17 years old. You tell me, did I have to bloom where I was planted? Did I sink or did I swim? Right? And at that age, what in the world did I know? Not much, not much. But here I am today. And that was the onset of my life taking some crazy turn. And everyone around me knew that I was going to be this singer. She's going to sing. And I sang from the time I was a young girl in the projects until I got to the Apollo, Soul Train, Midnights. I mean, God has blessed me, but my vision of who I was, no matter what came my way, I still had to bloom. Mary says, you loved Miss Dee Dee. Yeah, everybody loved my mom. And I had to bloom where I was planted. Why am I telling you this? Because I don't mind exposing myself. I don't mind talking about me, right? Because when you're free and when you're past, you know, when you've gotten through something, not stuck, when you pass through in the islands, when I go to the island of Curacao a lot, they say, Pastor Sheila, I passed through it. And I picked that up from them. I passed through so many things in my life, but I had to bloom. Sometimes it took me a long time to bloom. Sometimes I was left and should have been right. Sometimes I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing. But I just give God so much praise and glory because his hand was always on me. So when my husband was murdered the same day, I had this emergency C-section. They said, go on home. She's going to be asleep for a while. On his way back to the hospital is when this guy shot him. And so, you know, you can imagine the devastation. I have 2 little girls. I'm a widow. Oh my God, like where was Wayne? You saw Wayne, you saw Sheila, you saw Sheila, you saw Wayne. It was a terrible moment. And back then, people say, oh, she don't need no counseling. I love her. I love her. No, 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 no. I needed somebody to talk to me so bad other than my parent, my mom, or my friends, because I was 17 and I just went through a traumatic trauma. I mean, just terrible experience. So I had to bloom. Listen, people, I had to bloom where I was planted. And I never stopped blooming, such as you. You have never stopped blooming. You will never stop blooming where you're planted. And no matter what comes your way, there's always a push inside of you. When you don't even feel God is not near, you can't trace him. When you feel people have turned your back, I won't even give you stories about betrayal. I got a list of stories about betrayal, right? But I still had to fight through that. And as long as you keep your heart right, as long as you can hold on to the heartbeat of yourself, and don't allow people to shift you and move you because of circumstances and situation, you will bloom. I don't want you to wilt. I want you to blossom. I want you to blossom. I don't want you to wilt. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what you did yesterday, what happened an hour ago. You can always make that pivot. You can always change. We all have a story, but we have to continuously bloom where we're planted. So let's talk a little bit about blooming where we're planted. I downloaded some stuff, and I just want to let you know the expression bloom where you're planted means a person should take advantage of the opportunities they have in life, right? They have in life, and be grateful for the present situation. Now, what you talking about, Sheila? The present situation? You want me to be happy about that? You want me to really laugh? No, I know where you are. Some of you, I know where you are. But listen, let me keep moving. Oftentimes, if you're unhappy with where you're at in life, you may struggle with what I just said to you. And I know that. However, say however. I heard you. There are many things you can do to thrive. You can thrive even in circumstances that are not ideal. First, work. Number one, work on cultivating the right mentality. See this thing up here? Ooh. This thing up here can rock you. This thing up here can speak all kind of stuff to you. I don't care how grounded you are as a believer. I don't care, who you think you are with credentials. This thing up here, the word of God tells us all the time to cast down your imagination. Cast down the imagination that exalts itself. That means there are things, people, places, and things that will try to exalt itself above what you know who you are and who God is in your life. So this is the first place that we have to learn that's where the attack comes. Because when it gets in your mind and you think about it for a certain length of time, what happens? It travels to your emotions. And then what happens? Your behavior responds to the emotion. If something is happy in your life and you think about the joke and you think about the funniness of the story, you can think about it when you walk away from the person that had you laughing, and that emotion will kick in and you'll laugh because that signal, it was funny. But the same way that you can think about something happy, something sad can come up in your mind. You can pull that tape up. The enemy will pull that tape up to remind you what you used to do, what you didn't do right, what you said you was going to do. It can remind you, I could pull up the tape about losing my mother. If I stay parked in that place for a long length of time, what do you think is going to happen to me? It's going to get inside my emotion, right? And then what's going to happen? I'll be sad. I might cry, because we have to cast down the imagination. And every time the imagination starts to run, you have to dispute it with the word of God. Dispute it with, I am more than a conqueror. Dispute it that I am happy. You have to dispute it with the powerfulness of who God says you are and things that make you happy. And so, listen, last, you have the most, let me see what I'm going to say. Most of us, try to be positive, right, from day to day, but life still happens. So let's go through a couple of things that I think can help me and help you, because we have to bloom where we're planted. So number one, developing the right mentality. That's what I said to you. Acknowledgement. See, once we acknowledge that something ain't right, once we acknowledge that something's kind of off, right? And a lot of times image, people allow us, you think you have to present an image, right? Especially if you're in a workplace and you're corporate or you're a job or any, you don't even have to be on a particular level. The fact that people expect you to perform, the fact that people expect from you pushes us to have to what? Hide behind that to what? To please what they want from us, to perform, right? And we wear these masks. How many times do we change a mask in a day? Hello, my cousin Janice. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for being here, Janice. I appreciate it. See, what are you going to do when things happen? We have to acknowledge. It's acknowledgement, acknowledging I don't feel right today, acknowledging that I'm still dealing with this. Okay, let me expose myself a little bit more. I don't know if some of you know that I had gone through a little a sad situation in the last month, right up until a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, Princessa, I have gone through some situation where I had my dog for 14 years since she was 6 months, just her and I. And she was a little Yorkie. She was a teacup. Her name was Maxie Girl. And see, right now, what I'm testing the waters, like 3 weeks ago, I couldn't talk about this without crying, right? So look, you got to test yourself and find out where you are in the barometer of your healing with anything that you go through. So I'm touching this right now. I'm going to jump in it. I'm going to jump in it because I feel stronger, right? Why? Because I acknowledged where I was at. I acknowledged that I wasn't good. Now, some folks may say, a dog? Listen, I'm not even a dog person. My sister was, God bless her soul. People in the family was. I'm not an animal girl, but God knew I needed something with this dog. It just, listen, I'm not going to tell you how I got her, but she stayed with me. She was 6 months and to 14 years with her. And she had to leave me. It's a month and a week now, I think. Well, here's the difference. I've dealt with a lot of death in my lifetime dealing with humans, with people, right? But when Maxie passed, I couldn't get a grip. And I'm like, well, I've navigated through death so much since 17, right? And why can't I get a grip? And my youngest daughter said something to me one day. They were checking on me because I took this thing hard, right? Really hard. I'm proud of myself right now that I'm not crying and that I'm stronger, right? But I had to do something to get me to where I am now. I had to bloom where I was planted when Maxie left. And what happened, I thought about, okay, I have to do something. I have to shift. I have to pivot. I have to get out of here. But my daughter said to me, Mom, I think what you're experiencing is, even though you've dealt with death with people, right? And I have, but our relationships with people, conditional, unconditional love, conditional love, unconditional love. People, even though you love people and it's sad when they leave us, you can always have a reference of what happened with them. Something might have happened, a little argument, a tit for tat, something they did you didn't like, right? There's a reference. But with Maxie, there was nothing but pure, unconditional love. I had nothing to refer to other than the love. I never knew that dogs, like dogs have souls, right? And I always say that people should love like dogs love. So when Maxie passed, I was messed up. And so I'm glad I can say this right now because I'm stronger. And I said, well, you know what? I have to go. I have to take a trip. I need a road trip. I need to get my head right and I need to recalibrate on the inside so that I could come back to my home and not see her code or not see this or that and be spun out of whatever. Bloom where you're planted. The acknowledgement. Many people feel that their thoughts are beyond their control. While we're never in complete control of our feelings and emotions, there are things we can do to direct our thoughts. It's up here. We have to learn. What did I do? I had to sit in here and say, I need to do something because I don't feel this gauge moving with me losing her. Something got to give. And it's not going to happen in this space. So I sat and said, I know I need to move. I need to shift. I need to pivot so that I could get fresh thought and get this whole situation moving on the inside. I'm speaking to you right now. Whatever it is you're dealing with, whatever it is that you're baffled about, sit with yourself, sit quiet, and allow God to speak to you so that you can what? Bloom where you're planted. We will never stop blooming because life is going to continue to happen as long as we're down on this crazy earth, right? So while you cannot always change your circumstances, you can work on adjusting your own perspective. It's about how you see it. It's about how you let that thing affect you, how you let that thing consume you. It's about you saying, this is a rough one for me, but I'm going to get something out of this. Don't allow the enemy to rock you to the point that you don't leave out of a situation with a jewel. I don't care if it's this much of a jewel. Don't allow anyone, person, people, places, things to ever put you in a situation and steal your time, steal your joy. Tamper with your peace, and you leave out of a situation and not have a jewel to move on. So you have to bloom where you're planted. God bless you. Hey, I see you, Ene, the Bravette. She's here. Thanks for being here, Ene. So blooming where you're planted is not easy. It's not an easy walk. Listen, I told you in the beginning, some of the stuff, some of the things I had to stand and bloom in. None of them were easy. None of them were easy. Listen, I kept getting one hit. You know how a box is in the ring, one hit after another, the consecutive blows. I couldn't breathe from one thing after another happening, right? I didn't know nothing about blooming where I was planted back then. I didn't know that's what I was doing when I was trying to dig myself out of these situations. Remember, you can control your attitude in any given situation. You can control how you choose to see and perceive what's occurring around you. You have a choice. You have control. Never give your control up fully because you are responsible for you. You are responsible for your behavior. You're responsible for how you speak to people. You're responsible of how you allow people to move and shift you. You're responsible for people that you're responsible for. So you have to constantly check yourself, sit with yourself in those areas, those weaknesses that we're trying to make them become strengths. Just listen, live out the strengths, but do not ignore the weaknesses. Do not ignore those places that you don't like about yourself, because there's always a tweaking. There's always something that needs to be done inside of us. We never, ever arrive. If you're unhappy with your current job, if you're unhappy, doing things and it's nothing great around you, you're not feeling good. If you keep having thoughts like that, speaking doubt, speaking like, I don't like coming to work, I don't like these people, I got to get out of here. Guess what? When nothing changes, nothing changes. You have the power to make a change. You have a power that if you ignored something years ago that you wanted to do and you feel you've wasted time, no, you have not wasted the time, because as long as you're alive, you can step up and go what? Continue on in your journey. Continue on. Sometimes as we get older, even younger people think, I went to school and I messed around in 4 years and I really didn't like that major and I don't want to go back. I really want to be a commentator, a sports newscaster, but I took nursing. Listen, about face, and go ahead and pick up that thing, the very thing that you were designed to do, because all of us have a gift. All of us. That's why I have such a heart for the homeless. When I see them, my heart cries and breaks, because they were not born to be on a street corner, in the street begging or drugged out or whatever. Something happened to them because purpose was given to all of us, right? And my compassion, I outreached the homeless for like 5 years, went under bridges, went in airports. I was on a team and we all were believers. It was a wonderful thing. I knew the homeless by name. But if I could just say one thing to help them understand, listen, even though you're in this space, you can rise out of this dirty dirt and bloom where you're planted. Number 2, accept changes as they occur. The only sure thing is change. Listen, when nothing changes, nothing changes. No matter where you're planted, situations and circumstances will change with time. It will change with time. Situations and circumstances will change with time. Every time something hit my life, every single time, I mean, when I was, things just happened over and over and over and over and over. And I just thought I was going to lose it because I'm a person that gives life and loves people. But the enemy was chasing me and after me, and I didn't understand it, right? So I told you from 17, that's when stuff started twisting and turning for me. How was I supposed to get a bearing? How did I get to where I am now? Because I had to sit with Sheila and I had to bloom where I was planted. Now, did I go through some times and I got stuck? Of course. There were moments I got stuck. There were moments when I couldn't move. When my mom died, I thought I was out of here. When my husband was murdered, I was like, what is going? Nope, I'm out. There have been many times that I got stuck. But at a certain point, I had to say, this is not my portion. This is not my life. And I had to bloom. And sometimes people helped me, and sometimes I had to help myself. And so I'm saying to you, no matter where you've been, no matter what you've gone through, no matter what the circumstances today, no matter how old you are, no matter how many times you messed up, even if you don't know what you're supposed to be doing right now, you just bloom. Get in some good soil and you will bloom. You will bloom. So accept changes as they occur. Learn to cultivate mental flexibility, that mind thing. If you can conquer this, if you can cast down those imaginations, if you can realize that you are everything that God has carved you out to be, you're intricately made, right? Oh my God, I'm telling you, you will bloom. Bloom where you're planted. You say, Sheila, I'm standing in some dirt that can't even receive water. I'm standing in some dirt, and this soil, I thought it was good soil. And I got, it turned out to be something that I never thought would happen. A lot of times people even get in churches and they think, oh, I came out the street and I'm going to join this ministry and I'm going to join this church. Yeah, And you get there and then you see the real deal about people. You see people. Right? And you say, well, this is a church, but you got to remember the church is a hospital, right? You see your sisters and brothers and you think you found no, sometimes you get good and planted in a place. Even in church, you got to bloom through some stuff. Let's see what some of the comments are saying. Let me put Princess's comment up. Let's see what she's saying. She said, I replace undesirable thoughts with songs. Perfect. Because it shifts you. Long as what you do shifts you and pivots you, that means the chance for you to now start blooming can take place. Something simple as music can shift you. I know for me, because I'm a music person, that's my go-to. Listen, I'm a worshiper. So all you got to do is put some worship music on and I'm going deep. I'm just going in. Right? And I come out with answers. I come out refreshed. Why? Because I did something. I bloomed while I was stuck in a place. Let me keep going. Remember, change is necessary to progress. You have to look. No one likes change. People don't like change. Many people don't like change, but I guarantee you, if you change, everything around you will change. Everything will change. That's why there's such a stronghold on people that can't shift or move, or they're stuck with people, places, and things. And if you're around people that tolerate you and don't celebrate you, pivot, turn the voices off and move. Shift, move. You may not know where you're going to shift to, but do something to get away from anything that's not building you up. Building you up is what you need for people to do, to come say a kind word, to not be judgmental, to not point a finger and remind you of what you didn't do right. Let's see what Facebook is saying. Facebook, Mary Finn is saying, right, we teach people how to treat us, creating your own demise. I like that. She said, being liberated, and this is liberating. She says, don't create your demise. I like that. That's real good. Amen. And so we have to understand that we have to bloom where we're planted. I don't know. I wanted to talk about this for like weeks and weeks, and everything kept interrupting my life, right? So I was blooming where I was planted, literally, right? Literally, I was blooming where I was planted. And so I want you to continue to understand that no matter comes your way, no matter what comes your way, you can bloom in that space. I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy, but you can do it. I'm telling you, you can do it. I can give you so many stories, and people look at me and be like, you went through, when they read my book, they was like, is this true? They said, is it is this book, everything in this book true? I was like, yep, everything is true. That's why I have to get this movie out. I have to get this movie out so that people can see what I come from and see that you don't have to stop. You don't have to. When someone breaks your heart, when someone betrays you, you don't have to stop. Hey, daughter Dawn, you don't have to stop. Bloom where you're planted, because life is going to continue to come at you, and you got to be ready. You got to be standing right there in your square. You have to stand flat foot and bloom where you're planted. I don't care what kind of storm has hit you, you can bloom out of it, but you got to get this right. You got to get the voices, turn the voices off, get by yourself, say, where have I been? How much time did I stay there? Did I bloom there? And where am I going? And how am I going to get there? Map it out. Map it out. I don't care if it's a baby step. Take the step. Take the step, because the step will pivot you right into a place that God was like, I was waiting on you. I was waiting on you to move. Yes, get away from people, places, and things that do not celebrate you. Be by yourself. Me and my brother, we got this thing. I talked to him. Thank you for the hearts. I love you too. My brother was talking to me earlier, and we were talking about how old we are now. And he was saying he's married 27 years today. I said, who would ever thunk it? And we started laughing. He said, man, if anybody would have bet this, everybody would have lost their money betting on me that I would be married 27 years, because his lifestyle and just how he is as a person, although he's a beautiful individual, but he was like, sis, you're right. This is something. I said, but God found a woman for you that could handle you, right? A woman that was carved out just that could handle you. And we had to get him out of New York and send him to North Carolina. And that's when his life, he pivoted. He was started blooming where he was planted, because New York was taking him out. And so I told him today, I said, wow, brother. I said, 27 years. He said, man, sis. He said, right? I said, wow. What an accomplishment. And if you knew my brother, he would know I want to put some fireworks up. And he said, yes, sis. So he said, you know how we do. Walking ain't crowded. So we got this saying, him and I, walking ain't crowded. And I tell the young people in the family, what you get from that when we say that? They're like, the pain face. What do you mean? Walking ain't crowded. That means if you got to walk by yourself to get where you need to be, to bloom where you need to go, then walking ain't crowded. Go ahead and take that walk and do what you got to do. And we've been saying that for years. Walking ain't crowded. And so we reiterated it today, because he's older. I'm getting older. He said, man, I see life through different lenses now, sis. I said, once we get over 60, it shifts. It shifts. Your lens change. Your lens change dramatically, right? You see things differently. So my blooming, anybody that comes to steal my joy, tamper with my peace, can't do it. You can't mess with me, not even for 10 minutes with drama. You cannot. There you go, N.A. Walking ain't crowded. You can't tamper with Sheila's peace. Anybody tamper with my peace, I politely, in my nice self, in my diplomatic way, get away from them, right? I don't let stuff in my space that's not healthy. I mean, being a counselor, I deal with different people, but I don't embrace. One thing that I find that a lot of women do, they embrace people's stuff. Like I just think, because he, but does that belong to you? What you're talking about, is that something that your son or your daughter or your husband, is that an issue they need to work on? Or is that yours? Because if it's yours, you own it and you work on it. No, I said, because everything you're telling me is not pointing at you, it's pointing outward. So this particular thing, why do you want to own it? You got your own stuff to work out. We've got our own stuff to work out. Work out your own stuff. Listen, I'm just telling you to bloom where you're planted. Let me try to tighten this thing up and get out of here. Listen to me. Value what you do have while you're blooming, right? Bloom where you're planted. If it's a rough spot, find a jewel inside of it. Find a little piece that you could see. Don't you dare allow anyone to take your life and you go through a season of hell or a season of trauma and you sit there for years and years and years, because I can't put a time on it, right? Because we're wired differently. But you got to wake up one day and say enough is enough. Find something. I always say in the valley, whoa, in that wilderness. I've been in the wilderness so many times. The church put me in the wilderness. Let me tell you about church hurt. We ain't gonna park there. I can't park there because then I'll be all off topic. But that church hurt thing, that's why it's so important to have a personal relationship with your God. A personal intimacy, an intimacy with God, because you need it. You're going to need that thing through your whole life, the intimacy, because what God can give you, no man can give you. The peace that God can give you, no man can give you. That's why when anybody try to tamper with my peace, it's a problem. So even in the wilderness, guess what happens in the wilderness? You think God is not near. He is near. In the wilderness, you get a voice. That's the place that God will come in there in the wilderness, because guess what? When you're in the wilderness, people are going to leave you because that's not a place they hang out with you. They're not going to come in the wilderness with you. They're not going to do that. So you have to bloom where you're planted. You have to understand that there are times and seasons in your life. There's going to be no one there. But what kind of soil are you standing on? What kind of soil are you allowing people to put under your feet? When do we take advantage of what we have within ourselves that's dormant, that's laying there? Why is it dormant? Because we're focused on so many other things. You have not cultivated even the thing that is inside of you. Every situation in your life, you got to find a way to bloom. You have to bloom where you're planted. A great place, a sad place, you got to bloom. Or either you stop. Go ahead and lay down. Go ahead. You know how they say in the penitentiary, walking dead man, death row, because you walking as a dead person. If you stop blooming where you're planted, you must bloom. You must bloom. So accept changes as they occur. The only sure thing is change, right? No matter where you're planted, situations and circumstances will change with time. I tell people all the time, everything is subject to change, but God. Woo! Everything is subject to change, but God. If you're sick, if you don't have any money, if you're trying to get up a corporate ladder, if you're trying to start a business, it's subject to change. Everything is subject to change, but your God. And that's a good thing because he's always the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. And he will help you bloom where you're planted. And I'm telling you, every wilderness place, God is right there. And he won't let you out until you come out in that voice. You come out with the assignment that clear in your mind what you're supposed to be doing. So don't think if you're in a stuck place or a place that's a Lodabar place that God is not there. Don't think and have a pity party for so long. You can have a little pity party for a couple of days, but if you're around me, I'm going to get you up. I'm going to get you up and I'm going to get you moving. I'm going to get you understanding. Go ahead and stick your foot in that little water. Go ahead in the 3 feet. I ain't going to push you into deep water, but you got to shift and you got to pivot and you must bloom where you're planted. It's no ifs, ands, or buts. Or not unless you just want to settle. If you just want to settle, every situation I told you about since I've been talking to you that has happened to me, and I'm telling you, that's not a quarter of what has happened to me as far as traumatic experience, as far as trauma. That's not even a quarter of it. But in those situations, I had to find a way to bloom in it. I had to find a way to make a step. You know how we say bust a move? I had to make a step to bloom where we're planted. Thank you so much. We got Sir Hal Speaks in the house. Thank you for being here. We got Blind Guy, his wife, and their life. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you stopping by. We're talking about blooming where you're planted. Blooming where you're planted, no matter where you are. And because we talk to women a lot, listen, They have to learn how to bloom. Stop having a pity party. Bloom where you're planted, because guess what's going to happen? You're going to stay in a place, and you won't vibe out. You won't move out. You'll be stuck in a place because of what? Someone said what you wasn't or what you couldn't do. You can do all things. I mean, everything. I don't care if you don't have a degree. Bloom in it. Bloom where you're planted. Bloom where you're planted. Value what you do have. I said value what you do have. If you're feeling negative about your life overall, this can affect your overall energy. It's about you and how you perceive you, how you've allowed words to attach themselves to you, and you believe it. And you believe it. Bloom where you're planted. Bloom where you're planted. There's so many situations and circumstances. I tell you guys, listen, it was many times I didn't know if my mind was going to be right. It's many things in my life that has happened to me, and I didn't think I would ever bloom or get up out of that broken place. I never thought certain things would happen that I would be where I am right now, right? How did it happen? Because I had to bloom in the mess. I had to bloom in the dirt. I had to bloom in the soil that wasn't set for me. But I turned that soil around, and I turned that soil around until I found a way to bloom, or I found somebody to connect to that saw my worth. You need to be around people that know your worth. It may not be the friend you had for 10 years. It may not be the friend you had for 5 years. It may be the man laying next to you. That's your husband. It may be the woman laying next to you. That's your wife. It may be a friend that has been there all your life. But there is someone that God will place in your path to help you bloom in your brokenness, because you can bloom. It's not an easy walk. But like I said earlier, walking ain't crowded. So if you got to walk it by yourself, walk it out in shoe leather. That's another one that I always told myself, Sheila, this one, you got to walk it out in shoe leather, because no one can help you with this one. This is all on you, Sheila. So what you going to do? So I walk it out. And guess where I get? To a place called there. So if you're unhappy with where you're planted, negativity can consume your thoughts. Oh my God. See, I could park right there, but I'm not. I could really park right there. Negativity can consume your thoughts. Let's see what we got, what people are saying. Let's go. I want to chat with some of my folks. Let's see. And they says, bravo with Sheila. Ladies, let's chat. So thankful. One of the places you bloom was on. Oh my God, you touching my heart, sis. You're touching my heart. Thank you so much for saying that. It's so very kind of you. So very kind of you. Blind guy and his wife. Let's see. They're saying, hey there. Edit Nay. She's saying hello to Nay. I'm driving and listening and enjoying this. Amen. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. Let's see with Facebook. I can't leave you out. They are saying some things. My cousin said you are on a roll. My daughter Dawn says, sure thing, change. Thank you, Father. So yeah, bloom where you're planted and know your worth, because sometimes that thing could be chipped away. Life has a way of chipping away at you, and suddenly you find yourself insecure. It has happened to me. Insecurity kicked in. I'm like, that's not me. That's not what what happened? What did I allow to chip away? What voice did I allow in my head to chip away what God had already established me in? What happened? And emotionally, sometimes things just happen and you don't regroup as quick as you would like to. And that's okay. That's okay. But you can't stay down there too long. No, you can't stay down there too long. Try to make a conscious effort to focus on what you do and what you have and what you don't have, but mainly what you do have. What you do have, because insecurity, low self-esteem, low self-worth, guilt, depression, all those things are designed to chip away. And sometimes if you're strong, the enemy will chip. Oh yeah, some people he can just come and just take it, right? And that's why I say you have to build yourself up so that when the storm hits, when you're blooming in a dirty place, you have enough to stand on, the foundation. You've did enough turning around of the dirt to be able to move forward and to bloom wherever you're standing and wherever you're planted. Try to make a conscious effort to focus on what you do have. for what you do have. Try to learn lessons from your circumstances. What do you walk away with after coming out of a storm? Some storms by way of people putting you in, because people can be real treacherous. People can betray you. People can love you today and say they love you. And listen, that's why I say that unconditional love is only the agape love. That phileo love is that brotherly love. That eros love is the love of a husband and wife. But that agape, I'll take it all day. But people love you conditionally. They love you today, but walk in church and don't see them. The next thing you hear is like, she thinks she is. So, I mean, these stories are so ridiculous. And they don't speak to you anymore. And you never know why the person stopped talking to you. But they said, oh, I love you with the love of the Lord. Lies they tell. Conditional love is something. So no matter what has happened to you, you have to know who you are. You have to know your self-worth. And do you get there like just after you go through something? I mean, how did I get to this place? Well, I can say I got a lot from my mom. I got some jewels from my father, but I got to give the credit to my mom. But the ultimate credit goes to God, because it's when I became a believer some 35 years ago, I began to understand how messed up I was, how distorted my pictures were, right? And then I started to bloom. I started to understand and get this up here right. So I want you all to understand that it doesn't matter what life has done. Listen, when I was sick, when I got hit by that car, minding my business, I remember the day before I was in a church and I had led worship and the glory of God had fell in the room. And I know, and you know, that there's a price for the anointing. That next morning, I'm walking across the street. A car came out of nowhere, absolutely nowhere, speeding. You got to know in the spirit when this enemy attacks us and hit me. I should have flew in the air, up and down, but for some reason I fell forward on the car. But what happened to me? I was down 4.5 years with 3 surgeries on my leg, and I couldn't go minister. I couldn't walk. I couldn't sing. I couldn't do anything. I was depressed. I couldn't understand. How did this happen to me? I didn't know how to bloom in that situation. People had to help me. I was in a wheelchair for a while. I had crutches. Then I had a walker. Then every time, oh, you need another surgery. What did I do with that? I was stuck for a minute. I was on Oxycontin. People thought I was going to become an addict because the pain was so excruciating. For every 4 hours, I was popping it and popping it. The pain was terrible. Oh, she's going to be an addict. No, those pills, you take them for pain, not to get high. So that high thing, I don't like that feeling. It was for pain. But again, look how my life, one morning, the enemy tried to take me out. He tried to really eliminate me. He tried to eliminate me. How did I bloom in that? Think about what you've been through right now. Think about situations and circumstances that you just woke up one day and it just happened. How did you bloom in it? Where are you now? How do you need to bloom? Where's your next move? Where you going? Where you headed? What's up? Where you at? Where you going? Bloom where you're planted. Try to learn lessons from the circumstances. One great way to bloom in any circumstances is to always be on the lookout for life lessons. Oh, you know what? We could just pull all kinds of stuff out of this and have long conversations. Life lessons? Woo! How many times when you were younger, I know for me, you know, your mom said, I told you not to do that. I told you if you go over there, what would happen? How many times the Lord would try to stop you and you went against him or you went before him? How many times in an argument, you know, you have an argument, instead of showing humility and humbling yourself, you go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And guess what? Nothing changes. It escalates. So what happens? You're robbed of time. You're robbed of a relationship. You know, people don't play fair when you start hurting their feelings and you say things you shouldn't say. It's so many things and so many ways to talk about this and to get lessons out of this. Lessons. We need life lessons. Look at where you are right now. That's what I want you to do, is to reflect. Stop, pause, reflect. Just reflect. Just reflect where you are. Let's see a couple of these messages we have here. I love talking to the audience, to my dear chat rooms. Yep, stay in motion to stay flexible. You can learn so much experiencing new. That's it. That's it. Kick fear to the curb. Kick fear. Thank you, blind guy and his wife. Kick fear to the curb, because fear will tell you you can't do that. You see how you look? Fear told me you're not going to walk right again, Sheila. Look how you walk. You're not. And I was fearful because it didn't look like it was going to be over for me. It didn't look like, my company's closed. I couldn't make money. My bank account dwindled. Everything. I couldn't move. 4.5 years. What was I going to do? How did I get out of that? Still recovering from it, but I'm blooming. I'm blooming where I'm planted. And finally, I started pushing myself in therapy, because I kept saying, I can't. It hurts. I'm scared. I can't get on the bike. They said, you got to get on the bike. I said, I can't. My leg going to break again. I remember the day I got on the bike in therapy, and the whole room stopped and said, yay. But I had to move the fear out of my head that said, if I move this leg, it's going to break again. And I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I said, I'm going to do it today. And I bloomed where I was planted. So whatever the circumstance is, bloom where you're planted. My last point. Well, let me just say this. Even bad situations come with lessons. Even bad situations comes with lessons. My last point here for tonight is practice radical acceptance. Now, this is a big one, because the acceptance, again, my brother and I, we kick it all the time. We talk, right? He said, man, sis, he said, it's rough out. He said, but, acceptance is high. Expectation is low, sis. Just remember that. And I use it and I say it. Expectation, if it's not expecting from God, expectation is low. Accepting is high. Now, what do I mean? Because my personality, I'm so nice, and I'm not a diva. We go places and people pushing me backstage, and all about is carrying and coming and taking me backstage, and all. I'm not into that. I'm into people. So I had a thing about, well, why did they do that to me? Or why are they saying that about me? I've never did. He said, sis, expectation low, acceptance high. And I guess that's what Maya Angelou is saying. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. But it took me a while to get that, because I'm an emotional. I'm strong as a woman, but inside I'm fragile and I'm emotional, because I'm just like, that's how I'm wired. And so I got hurt a lot. And so I learned to guard my heart. Because people will always disappoint you. People will say one thing and do another, and you expect them, even in marriages. I expect you to do what I want you to do for me. Maybe they're not there yet. Maybe they're in their not yetness. And in relationships, you're in not yetness. You have to understand that, because I'm a certain way and I need you to do something for me, and you're not doing it for me. Now I'm going to get on you and we're going to have this argument, and you got to do it for me. I need you to do it. I want you to do it for me. Well, maybe he's not there yet. Don't mean he's not going to get there. So how am I going to make you give me what I want when you don't have it yet to give, or you're not ready to give it? Doesn't mean I'm not going to get it. So expectation low. Accept the person for where they are, right? In your not yetness, I love you. In your not yetness, I know where we're headed. In your not yetness, because that goes both ways. It goes both ways. So acceptance is high and expectation is low. And that helps me, right? Because sometimes I can be on it. My daughter be like, Ma, you expecting again? No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Look what you just said. So I have to really rewind and pull myself in, because I'm wired like that. And sometimes I don't understand how people can be so off with the offness. So practice radical acceptance. Radical acceptance means learning to accept your current situation and everything you cannot change as it is. As it is. This can help you bloom. You can bloom where you're planted, as you will not waste time. Indulging in what? In scenarios. For the people in the back, I'm going to say it one more time. Listen, bloom where you're planted. Everything you cannot change. As time indulging, what if scenarios. Don't do it. This can help you bloom where you're planted, as you will not waste time indulging in what ifs. Oh, those what ifs will get you all the time. Well, what if this and what if that and what if this? Those are scenarios, right? Try to wake up, glory to God, every morning with a sense of acceptance about what you cannot change. Stop pushing folk. Stop trying to make people be what you want them to be, to give you what you want them to give you. Are you giving them what they need? Oh, it's one-sided, huh? Sir Hale says, indeed. Indeed. Grace says, blessings. Blessings to you too, my sister. What is it that you have to understand these things? So listen, remember that suffering is optional. Optional. Suffering is optional. The way you interpret the situation, listen to me, people, those of you, Facebook, all of you, the way you interpret the situation determines whether or not you will suffer. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to be a finger pointer. He did it. She did it. I thought he was going to do this, but he didn't. So I meant, no. You're responsible for you and your behavior, your actions. So what? Whether or not you will suffer depends on you. Radical acceptance is about accepting your current reality with all its ups and downs. However, I heard you. Accepting does not mean agreeing that you can. It means that you will. Being planted. Listen, bloom where you're planted. I want you to bloom where you're planted. It's the only way you're going to move. It's the only way you're going to groove. It's the only way you're going to push up and be up. And when you get there, go ahead and bring a brother up. Go ahead, pull a sister up. Go ahead, push a brother up. Push a sister up. After you get out of that dirt that you haven't turned, or you learn how to till and turn, and you know, God knows I ain't no country girl, but I do know what happens when you be moving that dirt, if I'm correct. If I'm not, somebody correct me. But things start to happen. I'm telling you, get in that space, stand in your space, and bloom where you're planted. No matter what hand has been dealt to you, go ahead and bloom. I'm not telling you how much to bloom. I'm not telling you where to bloom. I'm just telling you to bloom. And guess what? Turn the voices off. If they're not celebrating you and they tolerating you, turn them off. People, places, and things. Block people from getting in your space that's going to take your joy and rattle your peace. You ain't got time for that. Time is short. It's so short. I'm telling you. I tell you again, me and my brother this morning on the phone, I said, brother, if you say it one more time, boy, you know, sis, there's more time behind us than in front of us. Boy, get off the phone. Get off the phone telling me this stuff. Listen, I got time, and I'm going to use everything that I have to move forward. I'm going to move forward. I'm telling you, it's so many things that I want that I don't have right now, right? I don't, like being alone, right? People say, oh, well, you too old. Ain't nobody gonna marry you. Ain't nobody wants you. Well, you need to get on the dating apps. Well, nah. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. And if it doesn't happen, my sisters and my brothers, I'm okay, because I'm okay living with myself. I know who I am, right? All I could do is compliment somebody else, because why? I did the work. I did the work. I bloomed on every single level, right? And so I'm saying, such as I have is what I give. Such as I have is what I give. Do I know it all? No, I'm still learning. I'm so grateful to be in the YouTube streets, to be able to learn things from people like Sir Hal Speaks and his beautiful wife, Lady Crystal. I'm so grateful to be in these YouTube streets. And now that I've tapped in to Blind Guy, his wife, and their life, I love just being in their presence. I love it. This morning, I always listen to David Hunt's music all the time because it's so anointed. I always tuned into him. But this morning, I got on the live, and I was like in the comments, and I was glad because he was allowing people to give songs that they want to hear him play. And it was a wonderful time. And Blind Guy and his wife was there, shifting people and being the captain of the ship. So I'm just grateful to have this platform to do so many things that my heart wants to do and to say the things that I want to say, and building people up, helping them move from pain to power and from power to victory. And that's all it's about. Just bloom, bloom where you're planted. I know this is an off night. I'm usually not on Fridays, but like I said, I had to do a little road trip to recalibrate my emotions and to get my mind right. I was up in the plane and God started talking. I said, there you go. Come on, talk to me. Give me some directions. What do I do now? How do I move? What do you want me to do? Got that. What else? I feel it. I feel it. And so I came back and I needed to do what I did. You got to know yourself. You have to know you. And I needed to break. I needed to go. I needed to be around my brother and my daughter. I needed family. And so all I'm saying is bloom. Just bloom, bloom, bloom. Bloom, bloom. Let's see what Princess is saying. And we're going to sign off. I can tell this has been on your heart. Yes, yes, my dear Princess. It has been on my heart. So much is on my heart. When you live life as long as I've lived it, and and when my husband got murdered at 17 and I was a widow with 2 little girls, I literally was living the life of a 35-year-old woman, right? When I was a widow at 17, then I wasn't 17. I was never 17. I lived the life immediately as a 35, 40-year-old woman. Life happened to me real fast and real hard. So basically, I'm older than what I am now in terms of experience. Yes, let's put this up because David Hunt is a gem. David Hunt is a gem. And I'm glad we found you because you've been a wonderful addition to these YouTube streets. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. I'm really, really happy to be here. It's a wonderful place to meet wonderful people. And all we can do is help each other bloom and help each other, pull each other up when we need it, right? Be able to have a heart to heart when we need it. And I like that. I trust you. I trust you with me. And so I'm so grateful. Facebook, because oh my God, all of you wonderful people, you guys, yes, David Hunt is anointed. And it was really funny. He's funny too. And he's really, really funny. It's so many funny comedians that dropped by, Blind Guy and his wife. Those guys in the chat are so hilarious. I laugh so much, but I love to laugh. And so I love being there and hanging out with them and some of the other channels as well. But my go-tos is Sir Hale Speaks and Crystal Hale and Blind Guy and where else do I go? I go a couple of other places. I do go to the Manosphere, but I mind my business, right? I mind my business. I listen and I learn and I understand the heart of men. And I do hear all of the stuff on the platforms. And, it's funny because God knows where I belong and where I don't belong. I would be so out of place. I mean, I could participate in the conversation, but you stay in your lane. You stay where God plants you. Bloom where you're planted. But I do support other channels. SB, I listen to her. I listen to so many other channels, and I'm learning more about the YouTube streets, about supporting. And so I'm on my way to 300 Bolo TV. How could I forget? I'm with him every morning, right, Ine? Bolo TV. Let's put that up. Bolo TV. Yep, I knew it was one I was missing that was strong. Every morning we're with Bolo TV. Oh, God, it's so wonderful with him. And so I'm doing so many things, and I'm just learning. I'm just learning. So I'm pushing my way to 300. How long I've been on here, Sir? Hell, I think around 7 months now. And I'm up to 200, I think, in 52 or 53. So if you didn't come in and hit the like button, I got to learn how to say that more. Hit that like button. And those of you who have not subscribed, but I think you have, but some of you on Facebook have not subscribed. I know, I see you. Go head over and hit that subscribe button because I want to get to 300, right? And so anyway, listen, guys, you guys are incredible. I'm so happy that I decided to come on this Friday night and chill out and hang out with all of you. And it's been a wonderful night. It's been a wonderful time. We have to keep raising the bar. Let's keep raising the bar. And I'm going to check you out real soon. It's Friday. I guess I'll pop on some channels this weekend or whatever. But I love you so much. Stay well. And remember that when nothing changes, what? Nothing changes.